Hi everyone, my name is Elena and I am the solo developer of the indie game TRUSTFALL, and in this video I'm going to explain how I designed the battle system of TRUSTFALL. TRUSTFALL is a narrative RPG set in the inner world of Cherry, our protagonist, and in TRUSTFALL you don't battle monsters or evil entities, but rather you encounter and interact with inner parts of Cherry that have become lost or suppressed due to avoidance of inner pain. So the intro of Trustfall starts out in the lowest spot or lowest place in Cherry's inner journey. And she is confronted with all of these parts of herself that she's been running away from her whole life. And she has to make the choice of whether she wants to keep living this way or to actually begin to change. So Cherry realizes that she's been going in these cycles of avoiding her inner pain and ending up in this really dark place in her mind, and realizes that the reason why she's been so depressed and anxious is because beneath all of those emotions, she just wanted to be loved. And a giant glowing hand appears in the sky to guide her to the next part of her journey, where she will realize the truth of what she's been experiencing. And I wanted to add a little bit of a comedic relief in this part because it's a dark scene to start with, very dark and heavy. So I tried to sprinkle a little bit of humor here and there. And this part is where she's in space observing Earth and having a perspective shift of being the observer of herself in space, and realizing how small her problems and her emotions feel now that she's created some distance from them. And for the first time, she's able to see herself and see how much she's been hurting and starting to feel compassion and sorrow for herself. The world beneath her starts to fall apart, and she is asked to fall into the unknown and trust whatever's to come. So this is where Trustfall begins, by choosing to descend and fall into the unknown world of Cherry's inner heart space. So Trustfall has a turn-based battle system inspired by games like Undertale, Omori, and Persona 5, and you have a few actions that you start with. But since this is the beginning or the tutorial battle, I chose to only keep a few actions. But you can either fight with them or choose love for them. And there are some mini games that come with each skill based on what type of action it is. And based on whether you choose love, fear, or alchemy, Cherry's inner state also shifts. So right now she is in the love state, so she's able to use more love skills on the enemy. And so you have these mini games, and when you do well on them, you deal extra damage or extra effect. And based on what you choose, the enemy also begins to trust you and open up their heart to you. So this branch of the battle is when you integrate the enemy. So when you have earned enough trust, their heart becomes full, and you'll be able to choose these actions that you can communicate that you understand them and you want to heal and accept them. And so you have this nice exchange, and they are ready to be integrated. And you resolve the battle. And this is when you are in the alchemy path. So you realize that bed isn't just really a bed, but a younger aspect of Cherry. And when you are using transmute, you are giving this enemy a perspective shift, and you can choose like the mean action, which is what I accidentally pressed, and when you press the wrong or the mean option, the battle will continue. But you can try again and click, come on, you can click the option to kind of acknowledge their pain, and therefore their anxiety transforms into peace. So this is when you take an existing emotion and you transmute it. And alternatively, you can use the fear skills to attack them and defeat them in a more traditional RPG way. And you see here that the battle space becomes a bit darker and Cherry's expression changes. And so this entire battle space is meant to reflect this inner state that Cherry is in, and based on whichever actions you use, the actions that you have, the skills that you have available in the battle will change, as well as her inner state and the state of the game itself. So in the battle, you have the enemy, and then you have the player. And each enemy has different types, kind of like a Pokemon type, except it's designed to reflect what type of inner part this enemy is. And there are many different enemy types. There is the critic, the desire, the mask, this is the inner child, and there's also an inner teenager. There is numbness and a negative belief. So there are many different types planned. And so these different enemy types react differently to different skill types. And so this is how it's set up on the back end. You have an enemy type, and basically each type will have different special resonance skills that will make integration or alchemy or suppression, which is defeating them, more effective. And then you have some skills that are resonant, ineffective, resistance, neutral, or fatal, which means that it could potentially one-shot them. And so for the example of the bed, because bed is an inner child type, they would be resonant with skills such as presence or empathy, but then when you present them with logic, maybe it's more resistant or ineffective, because children and logic, they don't really get along. And then maybe when you use a skill that's rejecting them or abandoning them, it would be fatal. And so here we have the emotion, and when you hover over it, it will provide a brief description of what this enemy is feeling, and below it gives you potential transmutation, which means when you use a skill with an Ascend Alchemy type, it can potentially interact with the anxiety and produce a different emotion, or transmute this anxiety into a different emotion. And same with Decay. So when you use a fear skill, such as Argue, for instance, in this battle, it could decay this emotion into something else too. So these different skills interact with the enemy's type as well as their emotion to create a unique battle experience. So the resources that you need to balance in the battle are A, Cherry's own health bar, because once this reaches 0, you will automatically lose the battle. And B is the enemy's resources. So you have their heart. So when it's empty, it means that the enemy doesn't really trust you. It's basically how much they have opened up their heart to you. And you have their health bar here. And once this reaches 0, you will have automatically defeated them via the fear path. And then you have their emotion, which is something you can use to transmute or understand more about their intentions of why they have presented themselves to you. And so the different skills that you have in this game or in the battle are reflected by these two icons. There's a third one, but since this is a tutorial battle, I am keeping it simple. So first is argue, and you see it's a broken heart. It means that it's a fear skill. And when you click on it, you see that it says fragment up at the top. And so fragment is an alchemy type, which means that when you use the skill, it has the potential to interact with an emotion in the fragment alchemy. And then here you have befriend, which is build. So this is the build alchemy. And basically this is when you connect and build that relationship with the enemy. So here you have the potential transmutations, which says ascend and decay. And I'm setting this battle system up so that this is blank when you start the battle, but as you try different skills, you'll be able to see it listed here. So when you use fragment on anxiety, maybe it turns into a different emotion. And when that is successful, it will show up in this list of potential transmutations. Each skill has its own skill type, and each skill type falls into the bucket of whether it's love, alchemy, or fear. But each skill type has a different alchemy type. So for example, the skill presence is a build alchemy type. So when you are present with something, you build a relationship with it. And when you feel an emotion, the feel skill type will dissolve that emotion. And similarly, when you use separation or rejection, you are being fragmented with that part of yourself. So that is a fragment alchemy type. And similarly with the alchemy skill types, you have clarity, which is a dissolve alchemy type. So you're dissolving what is an illusion. So with TRUSTFALL's battle system, with the enemy type, skill type, alchemy type, and the emotions, you can create any type of experience that reflects inner processing. So you can fight an angry inner critic, or an anxious inner child, or a sad mask, etc. So the goal of this battle system was to gamify the process of what it's like to speak and reconnect with these inner parts of yourself. And my goal as a game developer is to create an experience where it's fun and enjoyable, and also gives you an emotional epiphany of better understanding what these inner parts of you are trying to tell you. I would love to hear about any thoughts or any suggestions that you have on this battle system, because I understand it's very complex, but at the same time I feel like Pokemon is pretty complex, and so I didn't want to leave out any part that felt important to me in gamifying the process of inner healing. But I hope this video did a decent job at explaining what it is that I've been designing and working on this whole time. And please feel free to wishlist TRUSTFALL. I am releasing the demo for it very soon. I'm in the final process of fixing and finalizing some of the battles, but it's ready to be shown to the public very, very soon. So If you have been following my journey, I really appreciate your support. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.